Salut! I'm Uncle Kage. Je suis Tonton Kage. Welcome to Fernal Equinox. Bienvenue à Fernal Equinox.
Hi, I'm Budgie Skunk. I'm here at Fernal Equinox with Uncle Kage. Well, as you know, thank you again for watching my video.
So I didn't tell you about one of the many trips I made to Australia. I was first invited to go down to Australia, Melbourne. God, 10 years ago, I suppose. By the way, if you don't know, I'm Uncle Kage. I really don't know why, but I am. And I guess Uncle Kage's story closet. Woo! Thank you, one person. They literally fly me all over the world to get up on stage and do whatever the hell I'm doing. I just talk. Okay, whatever. You know, you guys had no lives. This entertains you. I mean, you could be going out watching a curling match or having a glass of poutine or whatever you guys do up here. But I basically, normally, I'm up here, I get drunk and fall down, but they won't let me have alcohol in this part, so I'm just going to have to get completely wired on caffeine and vibrate my way through the ceiling. So there will be no falling down. But I will never forget the phone call I got from a guy who was at that time called Arctic Pete from Australia. He's from Melbourne. And he called me up and said, yeah, we'd like you to come down here. Oh, whatever could this possibly
Art
be?
and wine.
Oh, may I look inside? Oh, well, See, they told me I'm not allowed to bring alcohol. That's what they said. You may not bring alcohol into this room. I didn't. It was here when I got here. So if there's any staff members, if you could look up specifically the rule, because if there's any staff members, if you could look up specifically the rule, and if it says I may not bring alcohol, well, I'm all for abiding by the rules. Thank you very much.
Is it over yet?
Are you from Singapore? I can tell. Because you bring the good stuff. So, I shall thank you in the Hokkien tongue. Chico Peremo.
Oh boy.
I said that, okay. Much more formal. Ani Nabu Chachilai. I've been practicing because, you know, I might get invited to a furry convention in Singapore someday. So I got a phone call from what the hell is in that light? Oh. Did somebody puke up there? What is this? Somebody flew up there and puked in the goddamn light. This just made my night. This is perfect. All right, I got a phone call from Arctic Pete. He said, yeah, we want you to come down here. I said, me? What for? He said, we want you to get drunk and fall down. Okay. When I was down, I liked Melbourne. Melbourne is wonderful. The only problem with Australia as a nation and as a continent is that it has been trying to eradicate human beings since they first arrived. Everything in Australia wants to kill you. And the Australians don't help. Anybody here familiar with a phenomenon that comes from Melbourne called a hook turn? I'll tell you what a hook turn is. Remember, they drive on this side of the road. You have downtown 3 lanes of traffic going at umpty squat kilometers an hour that direction. If you want to turn in this direction, you want to make a right turn, you are expected to go all the way to the furthest left shoulder, not the lanes, the shoulder of the road, and at some point hit the gas and cut across all the lanes. They even have a sign. It's got this arrow that points and comes this way, then there's a skull and crossbones, and it keeps on going. It's called a hook turn, and everyone does it. Because the traffic laws want to kill you. The wildlife wants to kill you. They had this beautiful hotel that was on a bluff overlooking the Yarra River. I love it. I just love to say Yarra, the Yarra. And there was this nice set of wooden stairs that went down to the river, and it was a very picturesque little valley down there. So tourists went down the stairs, and I'm like, oh boy, this the area is really cool. It's like there's water and plants and great shit like that. And I turned around, and I was going to go back up. And the railing next to the stairs going up, the little landing there, had a sign, a paper sign that somebody had stuck in place with wire that said, "Warning, a 1-meter tiger snake is living under the stairs. They are territorial, it will stand its ground." A tiger snake is one of those snakes that they can't do anything for you, it bites you. And I'm down there saying, well, this is really nice. It would be nicer if they put that sign at the top of the stairs. So I'm going up the stairs like, but I made it to the top and did not see this tiger snake. I don't think you want to. Apparently they can leap like 50 meters or something silly like that. Much like the drop bears. You guys know that one. How many people have been to my first FurryCon talk at some point in the past? How many of you know what con crud is? Mm-hmm. On Sunday of the convention, I woke up and I wasn't feeling well. I thought, oh boy, have I started getting the crud. I tried to get my sleep. I ate a balanced meal, keep my energy levels up. By about noon, I was running a 102-degree Fahrenheit fever, was flushed and sweating, and not looking good at all. I still had a story hour and an auction to do. I managed to do both. But goddamn, I'm good. Although by the end of the auction, I had very little voice left. I had the microphone, and I'm like, and I told Pete and the staff, I said, look, if that's for me, I'm not here. Okay, it was too hot a while ago, now it's too cold. I'm never satisfied. I went to bed, like, at 4 in the afternoon, figuring I'll get a good night's sleep and I'll feel fine in the morning to fly home to the US. That didn't happen. I woke up, the fever was raging. I was perspiring like mad. It didn't occur to me until I got to the airport, oh wait, one of their senior staff members is a doctor. I probably should have talked to him. But yeah, I don't want to cause people trouble. And they had got a convention to run. The last thing he has to worry about is saving my life. So I got to the airport, and when I got on the plane, fortunately, because I had, well, you guys know what frequent flyer miles are, right? And in frequent flyer clubs, you've got the silver level, and the gold level, and the platinum level. I fly a lot. I've got the amazing platinum, silver, gold, mythical, suck my dick level chairman's card. Or SMD for short. So fortunately, I had a business class upgrade to fly home. Now, this will take care of everything. I will get some nice sleep on the plane, and I'll feel perfectly fine the next day. Did not happen. When I woke up, I was dead. I mean, rigor mortis, decomposition, everything. But I sure as hell felt it. And the flight attendant kept coming by and said, "Are you all right?" "Yes, I'm just a little tired." Sorry. People always say that, right? I'm just a little tired. And I got off the plane and I'm dragging my suitcase behind me, and I was even kind of having trouble seeing where I was going. My clothes were soaked through, I was burning up. And there was a big sign that said, "If you are showing any sign of illness, you must report to an immigration officer." Well, who knows what the hell they'll do to me. I mean, I don't look Mexican, but Sorry, that's as far as I'll go with that. I'm not happy with my country, by the way. Let's just leave it at that. So I figured maybe nobody will notice. So I'm going along, and I saw a pair of shiny shoes, black trousers, and I went up, I saw a unicorn. Oh, hi. And this man looked down at me and he said, "Excuse me, sir, do you feel all right?" I thought, okay, how do I get out of this one? Fortunately, I'm a comic. We know how to think fast. And I said, actually, now that you mention it, no. Let me give you some advice, my boy. Don't ever go to try to do shot for shot with Australian Marines. You will lose. Is anything in that wastebasket over there? He said, just move along, sir, just move along. I was like, I'm so smart. Until I found out later, Australia doesn't have a Marine Corps. Fortunately, we didn't know that. And in trying to figure out what to talk about for you good folk who decided to be here and not down in the goddamn person games, but I'm not bitter.
Conference stories!
What?
Conference stories!
Politically, I'm not allowed. Because there might be a camera in here somewhere. Uh-huh. You know how many times I've heard, oh, it's okay, I turned the camera off. I deal with the media, guys. Let that be a lesson to you. If you're being interviewed, and they say, off the record, yeah, there is no off the record.
Details the time you met Asimov? I love that story.
Who, David Hasselhoff?
Yeah, Isaac Asimov.
Did I meet David Hasselhoff?
And the elevator.
Oh, Isaac Asimov. I thought you said David Hasselhoff. Sorry, it's that very, very charming Newfoundland accent of yours there. I had trouble. Well, I'm sorry. I don't know what the different ones sound like. Anybody up here I can't understand is automatically a Newfie. I'm sorry. That's how it works. Like that cop downstairs wanted to give me a ticket. You're a Newfie, ain't you? You guys have no sense of humor up here. But I will mention that, but before I do, I wanted to ask. I told a story about Doug O a couple of years ago, if I remember.
Yes.
Did I ever tell you how that ended?
No.
You're not interested. Yeah. As I recall, you see, there's not too much more to it. As I recall, I last left you with, we had sued him, and I showed up on his doorstep to get him to pay up. And when he didn't pay up, we sent the law after him to confiscate his Lamborghini. And when that happened, strangely enough, he came up with the money. And I said the story was not done. Well, the story depends on your definition. It really does look like somebody's walked up there. I wanted to chase after him for the $1,000 it cost Anthrocon to get the money out of him. I was all set to start all over again. I was going to file another lawsuit, and I was going to send him an email saying, this time let's do it the easy way. But Anthrocon's board of directors, who are no fun, would not allow it. They said, no, we've gotten our money, just let it go. And I said, no, I'm having fun. They said, you've got too many other things to do, just drop it, do not chase after him anymore. So I said, fine, I won't sue him. But I do send him a nice Christmas card every year. Signed, Sam Conway and all the Currens. Just so he doesn't think that we've forgotten him.
Instead of a dry cat turd and envelope.
No, that's harassment. I just sent him a nice Christmas card. Merry Christmas to your wonderful family. Mm-hmm. You know, right, I should list their names. Does your wife still drive that Escalade by the way? Nah, shouldn't go there. I have, okay, we've got a lawyer now. I have to kind of be careful what I say. You guys might have heard of the boozy barrister, or the boozy badger as he became. Do you know the tale of how he came into the family?
Yeah.
Some do who don't know. Yeah, sufficient of the rest of you talk among yourselves. But quietly! When an unnamed furry convention in Denver, Colorado, imploded because the world kind of started to notice that it was being run by, number one, a felon, and number two, a sovereign citizen.
Oh, fuck.
If you don't know what those are, good! You don't want those up here. Oh, good Lord. Oh, shit. Yes, here we go, exporting our culture again. Well, it fell apart. And the story was picked up by a law blogger who went by the name The Boozy Barrister. And he had a very popular legal blog. And he picked up this story and he ran with it because from a legal standpoint, it was comedy gold. And he wrote his article. And at some point, he wrote, I have no idea what the whole deal is with this furry thing, but it seems like a lot of fun. If I was a furry, I guess I'd be a badger. And then he went on. Within 24 hours, his mailbox was crammed full of hundreds of fan art pictures of him as a badger. His blog the next time was filled with, "Who the hell are you people?" But he became captivated, as did his whole family. I have always said, nobody becomes a furry. People are furries. It's only at some point they find out there's a word for it. And I was visiting his house. I actually crashed one of his streams. I got to sleep with his hooker, by the way. That's another story. I crashed one of his streams, and at breakfast the next day, I can't remember if it was him or his wife. Actually, none of us can remember. We were all badly hungover. One person somewhere in the room, it might have been the cat, said a magic phrase, and I want you all to if you take nothing else away from this, take this phrase with you because it was beautiful. Somebody said, you know, furry fandom is the community that we never realized we've been searching for all our lives. And I wrote that down because I'm like, God damn, I gotta write that down! Who said that? Was it me? If it was, I'm brilliant. The young gentleman from St. John's over there wanted to ask about the time, well, the time I met Isaac Asimov. Isaac Asimov was an interesting man. If you don't know who he was, I'm very sorry for you. He lived in Philadelphia, and he was a fixture at PhilCon, the Philadelphia Science Fiction Society's annual convention. I first attended PhilCon in long time ago. And a young science fiction fan, somebody who had grown up, had cut his teeth on the stories that Asimov had written. I saw him from a distance in the hotel lobby, and that was enough. It was like the Ark of the Covenant had opened. You know, my eyes were being burned by the brilliance of the light coming off. I thought that would be the closest I would ever come. And later that very day, I was getting onto the elevator. You still call an elevator up here, or do you call it a lift? Okay, thank you. It's so difficult, no matter where you go in the world, you know. What do you mean elevator? It's a lift. All right, fuck you. I heard a voice say, hold the door. Oh, okay, so I held the door. And this little tiny man, only about this tall, I mean, that was, I'm sorry, he was a midget. Really, it's like, dude, really? That's why he wrote short stories. sorry, I've been waiting for that for years. Anyway, this little man with a bald pate and these big mutton chop sideburns got on. And he said, 23, please. And I was standing there at the panel, and it dawned on me. I was like, it's Isaac Asimov. It's an wrestling. He looked up at me, 23? The whole way up, I didn't even push my floor. I'm like, we got to 23 and he stepped off, and as he did, he turned around, he put his hand through, and he said, you know, you're allowed to talk to me. He spoke to me. Just the words from his mouth actually encountered me. Oh my God, I'm blessed. I can't recall if it was the following day or sometime afterward. I happened to see him in the hallway without his usual massive entourage. And I remember what he said, and I kind of fell up behind him as he's walking. Do I talk to this? And I said, excuse me. Pardon me, Dr. Asimov. And he stopped and looked at me, and for a moment, there was no recognition, and then he said, oh yes, the sweaty man. I said, yes. He said, come here. Sit. I sat, and he said, now, we're going to have a conversation. And I said, and he said, not like that. I imagine you're a student. What is it you study? And I said, chemistry. He said, you do realize my doctorate's in chemistry. I actually had not known. I said, and we started talking about chemistry. He asked me, where I went to school and who my teachers were and what classes I would take. Just idle chit-chat stuff. And after very few seconds, I got to feel very, very comfortable with him. And we had this lovely, lovely talk, and then he had to go on his way. I never forgot that because that was a valuable lesson for me. Today, now that I hate to use the word celebrity, this is a minuscule pond that I seem to be a medium-sized fish in. You folks are extremely kind to treat me that way. But I have some folks who come up to me and they react the same way. And they come up and they go, ooh. And my response is, was there a spider on me? Get it off, get it off! But I've done the same thing. Come here. We're going to have a conversation. I am very, very sorry that he's since passed on because he was a remarkable fellow. After that talk we had, he said he had to go somewhere, but he got up and he said, watch this. PhilCon at the time was held in a hotel in Philadelphia, had a very large ballroom. Maybe 3 times the size of this was their dealer's room. He bid me goodbye. He went into the service corridor. And I looked into the door of the dealer's room, and way in the back, I noticed one of those back doors opened, and this little puff of white hair came through and closed the door and just stood there. And about 10 seconds passed when people started to realize, and you could see a visible silence spread through the room, and then a stampede to the back. I couldn't see over people, but I stood up and I looked, and there was Dr. Asimov going, he loved the attention. Actually, he probably would not like the modern day. and I hope his memory is never sullied. He was playful about it, but he was a god-awful dirty old man. He was an incredible lecturer. Back then, it was kind of cute when old men were I like you girls and stuff. Nowadays, people just look at me and think I'm sick, but it doesn't work for guys my age all of a sudden. I quit. As if you couldn't tell, I used to live and work in Philadelphia. Actually, I worked in Philadelphia. Nobody lives in Philadelphia. I worked there. I had a job at a wonderful little startup company, antiviral research. That was in the 19-somethings. When these little companies were cropping up like mushrooms after the spring rain, and like mushrooms after the spring rain, they would be eaten by hippies and then they disappeared. I didn't think anybody would get that. That's right, it's Canada, I forgot. I took a job at a different sort of place. I had been a scientist. I went to work for an outfit that provides human tissue for biomedical research. You might say that I went from being the scientist to being the hunchback. That's something very necessary, because prior to that, and I'm not making this up, if a medical researcher needed tissue to research on, they would literally hang around outside of operating rooms and wait. It's like, excuse, are you going to keep that? Could you? Yeah, thank you. So this organization came into being that we will facilitate that. Now the researcher doesn't have to do that. The researcher, from the comfort of his or her office, can simply call up me, and I will stand outside the room and say, excuse me, are you going to? Yeah. A little more complicated than that, but in essence the same thing. Part of my job was overseeing the repository. Because every once in a while we would obtain tissue that, one, it might not have been suitable, or the researcher, for whatever reason, could not accept or did not want it. You can't throw it in the trash, you can't feed it to the cat, and this is a human being. This is somebody's grandma, this is somebody's kid. This is human gift. So we would keep it in hopes that we would find somebody who would want it. So we had these massive minus 80 degree centigrade coolers where we kept things at I must have bored you, I'm sorry. At cryogenic temperatures. There were 5 of them, if I recall. I remember the first time I was let in, there was one laboratory technician, I'm the guy in charge. And I was shown these coolers, which were very well organized, shall we say. They were organized by anatomical source, let's just say. And I still remember cooler number 3, because that's where the boy bits were. They were on a shelf about this high from the floor. And at some time in the past, somebody had very carefully arranged them by size. It looked like a xylophone. I mean, that's the first thing I thought. I could take like a femur, you know. And we have Jewish people in Philadelphia. Okay. I'm sorry. Lane tinge. I'm hopped up on caffeine. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. It was a difficult job. Because you do not last long in that industry until it suddenly will hit you that your success depends on somebody else's unspeakable tragedy. I learned early on not to look at donor histories. People, for some reason, they want to know the donor background. I would tell them, we don't get that information. Yes, we do. I don't want to look at it. Because the first one I looked at, Caucasian female, age 5, date of death December 25th. What kills a 5-year-old girl on Christmas Day? I am not looking at that again. Like I said, this is a tough business to be in. It would have been unbearable had I not had a friend that I could share, my troubles, my concerns with. If you're in a job that is very, very hard, you really do need to have a good friend. Mine was Murray. Murray and I, we would spend many, many long hours just talking these things over. It made us both feel better. It made me feel better. I'm not sure how much better it made him feel. Actually, he didn't talk a lot himself. See, Murray was only from here up. He was what we call a cranium. And he lived in cooler number 4. Lived is a loose term. Now, his name wasn't actually Murray. He just looked like a Murray. So I called him Murray. Murray the Head. And he and I would, like I said, you get a little crazy in this job. Murray and I would discuss philosophy and history and all sorts of things. And one thing I always wanted to know, but Murray wasn't telling me. Forever frozen, literally, on his face. He was a handsome older gentleman. When he died, he had the most angelic, beatific smile on his face. A look of pure human bliss. I don't know how Murray died, but I want to go the same way. I never looked up his history. One of my duties was to make sure that these coolers kept working. You can imagine the terrible tragedy would be if we were to lose power. This is a precious anatomic gift that cannot be replaced. They had an alarm system. Now remember, we're talking about the year 19-something. The alarm system was not very sophisticated. We hired a company that I shall simply refer to as ABC. ABC Security. I wore a pager. That's how long ago that was. It was a pager. And if there was any interruption of power, the pager would go off. And all it would say is, power interruption. I lived 25 miles outside of Philadelphia. I would have to drive 3/4 of an hour into the city. And this always happened at 2:30 in the morning. Never happened at 1 in the afternoon on a nice sunny Sunday afternoon. No, it was always freaking 2:30 in the morning. And this was a section of Philadelphia where the power grid would pretty much have been installed about the same time as our Constitution. And it got to be a drag because I could not get a decent night's sleep. It got to the point where almost every night I would drive into Philadelphia because the power had failed. It browned out for a second, then came back on. I'd go in there, everything would be fine. So I called up ABC and I said, look, fellas, is there no way we can put some sort of delay on this shit so you don't wake me up? I have an idea. If there is a power interruption, I want you to wait 10 minutes. And if it's still off, then call me. We're not talking rocket surgery here, okay? For about 3 weeks, they couldn't get it straight. And finally, I called them up, very annoyed, and I said, okay, I'm going to tell you this one more time. I'm going to say it in simple phrases even you can understand. Power, uh-oh. Wait, 10 minutes. Still uh-oh? Call Sam. No uh-oh? Fuck off. Have we got that? They said, yeah, we got it. Yeah, we got it. No problem. It's Philadelphia. That's how they talk down here. You can ask Aunt Monarch. She's from Philly, too. Memorial Day weekend. On Memorial Day. It's a Monday holiday. I think you guys got one of those too, don't you? In May. At about 4:55 p.m. on Friday, one of the circuit boards fried in one of our coolers. The alarm went off. The temperature was rising. And the person at ABC said, oh, temperature alarm. Uh-oh. Oh, wait. Wait 10 minutes. 5 o'clock shift change. I'm going home. Bye. Oh, no. Friday became Saturday. Saturday became Sunday. Sunday became Monday, the holiday. Tuesday morning, when I got into work, there was one of those little pink "while you were out" slips on my desk in big letters saying, "Sam, get up to the lab right away." And I thought, Murray! I went charging up to the lab, and the tech was there. She was looking very upset. So upset, I said, "Look, take the morning off. I'll take care of this, okay?" First thing I did was check on Murray. Murray was okay. I would have been heartbroken. That's when I put in a call to ABC. Did I tell the story here, by the way, as an aside, of when somebody set off the fire alarm at the West Indian Amicon? I didn't? Maybe I should.
Yes.
That'll be later. It's one of my faults. I have a very bad temper. I try to keep it under control, and most of the time, I'm successful. I'm not violent, at least not when there are witnesses. I called up ABC and I said, "Hi, I need a manager down here now. And I don't mean now. I want the manager here now when I first said now." Well, the manager came out and I said, "Hey, hi there, manager person. How are you? We got us a little issue here. Let me show you what the problem is. Why don't you have a look? Why don't you have a nice close look? What do you think of that? I can't use any of this. Look, my xylophone's out of tune. We can't use any of this tissue, and it's all going to have to be replaced." The manager said, "Well, we'll take care of it." I said, "Yes, you will." No, I didn't. Wanted to, but for some reason, even in Philadelphia, that's illegal. But you practically invented it. So I wound up firing those guys. I didn't stay long in that job because, as I said, it's a difficult job. Somebody said, "What's worse emotionally, that or running a convention?" I still don't know the answer. For one thing, if you guys think running a convention is easy, no. Yeah, you know the story of Kara, the oarsman who ferrets you across the river Styx?
Yes.
He can't stop. He must do this for all eternity. The only way out for him is to hand somebody else the oar. So when somebody says, "I could run this convention better than Kage," I say, "Take the oar." Take it. Wait a minute. Did I say ferry across the river or ferret across? I said ferret, didn't I? Somebody tell Alkali that. So he will ferry you across the river. Anyway. I'm the chairman of Anthrocon. I've been for the past many years. Thank you. Oh, God. It will take a toll on you. See this? I'm 25 years old. True story. A couple of years ago, one of our guests of honor, I guess, must have noticed that I was looking kind of the way I looked getting off that airplane from Australia. Now, this is a man who's been in fandom, and he's been to many conventions, and he said, "You look like a guy who needs a drink." And I said, "How observant of you. Can I help you?" I forgot he was my guest. He said, "Let's go across the street and get you a drink." To went across the street, and I was doing the chairman fingers. You know what the chairman fingers are? These are my chairman fingers. They go here. Every furry convention chairman, I asked, let me see your chairman fingers. The late Takaza, his would be here. Cheetah at Eurofurence, his are like right across the eyes. The current chairman of Midwest Fur Fest, he like does this sort of thing. Yeah, the chairman of Rainforest, too soon. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. Just joking, we're all friends. Anyhow, I was sitting there doing the chairman fingers, and he bought a glass of Riesling for me. Okay, the fastest way to my heart is a wonderful glass of Riesling, Mosel Valley, Germany, no older than 3 years, preferably cabinet vintage. Write that down. And there's a little place across, if you've been to a Tenpenny, which is across the street from Anthrocon's Hotel. Main hotel. We have 10. Brought the glass, and I started to reach for the glass, and I heard a siren. And I looked up, and a fire truck with lights and siren blaring was pulling into the front of my hotel, which is a Westin, by the way. I looked mournfully at the guest. I said, thanks. And I stood up, and I went stalking in. I don't really remember much about this. I don't have a clear memory, but I've got people who went with me who filled in the details for me. Apparently, while the firemen with their bunker gear were getting hoses out of the truck and carrying them in, I'm walking alongside them saying, "Who the fuck set my hotel on fire?" Was it you? There was no fire. You were there. Did you see who it was? You know a lot, don't you? That's what people told me. Somewhere on the 9th floor, somebody had a vape. Now, conventions say you can't vape in the hotel. That's because we're dickweeds and don't want you to have fun, right? No. This person was vaping in the elevator lobby, and somebody said, "Dude, you can't do that here." So to be a dick, he went right up against the particulate sensor, which watches for smoke, and it went off. When I heard this, I commandeered the staff elevator, throwing the firefighters off of it, and I rode up to 9, and I was like this. I'm like, "Who was it? I just want a word with him. One word. That word is murder. I just want to talk. Really, I just want to talk. Who was it? You. No one could tell me who it was. Now, I had something that I mentioned. I kind of have a bit of a temper. And when Anthrocon's involved, I don't have a sense of humor. When I get to that point at Anthrocon, I liken it to a samurai sword that once drawn has to taste blood. I started stalking through the hallways looking for somebody I could yell at. One of my logistics crew, Talon, was running behind me, trying to calm me down like that. No! I just give me this! Nothing on 9. I went up the stairs to the 10th floor. Must be something. Nothing on 10. Up the stairs to 11. I got to the 11th floor. I hear a loud party.
And somebody the fucking Jesus fucking Christ is cocky.
The door opened. Penny face came out, and I said, he closed the door. And Talon said, "Is that enough?" I said, "No! No, that's not enough. I need more. I need more. Up to 12. Up to 12. Nothing on 12. Let's go up to 14. They stole my 13th floor. Doesn't matter! 14, guys. Look. There's a sign on this door. It's held in place with duct tape. The sword was satisfied. Don't use duct tape. You know why? Because I'll murder you. I will continue to do so until you die.
Is there a story behind the elevator failure at Amphicon last year?
What elevator failure at Amphicon last year?
There was something similar, like all the elevator, like there was another thing.
Yes? Did they?
Yeah.
Why didn't anybody tell me about this?
Oh no, you didn't know.
What didn't I know? Now, okay, listen. This is the sort of thing that happens to me all the time. We have an excellent security crew. The Doorside Irregulars handle security for Anthrocon. They have been doing security for science fiction and related fan conventions since before most of you were alive. They did security at the first Star Trek convention in New York City, before the movie came out. So they know what they're doing. Sometimes too much. Because I will be sitting with them and they like to drink. Don't tell anybody, it's a secret. I like to drink with them. We'll be sitting, we'll be talking at the bar and stuff. And the Doorside, they're reminiscing about things they've encountered. Like, my security chief still loves to quote the security log from an unnamed gaming convention that they do. An unnamed gaming convention that takes place in Washington, D.C. at the Gaylord Hotel. Unnamed. Where the security log started out with, despite the appearance of police in riot gear, the convention was relatively quiet. So they'll be telling stories, and one of them will say, hey, Steve, do you remember when that meth addict showed up at Anthrocon and started urinating on fursuiters, and we had to call the riot squad? I'm like, whoa, wait, what? When was this? Oh, so that was 2014. No, it was 2015. That was 2015. Why didn't you tell me? And I said, we took care of it. I said, but you should have told me. And they said, it would have just upset you. They're laughing like I'm making this shit up. This happens to me. This is why I look this way. I can't recall if I told the story last year of the arrest that we had at Anthrocon. Did I? Okay, because I tell these stories all across the world and I can't remember because I mixed them up in my head. If I told the story on this stage, somebody stop. But we have, as one of our most amazing assets at Anthrocon, one of the local sheriff's deputies. You might have seen him if you've been to Anthrocon. His name is Bill Kisner, Deputy Bill Kisner. He is a very, very large, stalwart African-American gentleman, as happy and cheerful and pleasant as anybody can be. We treasure him because our attendees don't look at him as the man. You know, he's Bill. He's everybody's friend. We realize he's there for our safety. It's good to have that kind of relationship with law enforcement because Bill has been working with us for more than 10 years, and he and his crew know the difference between take him downtown and take him upstairs and let him take a nap. See, that's very important, that distinction. Was it this past year? Was it just last week or long ago? Time means nothing to a convention chairman. It was the Wednesday night before the convention. I haven't even started yet. We're still 2 days from opening ceremonies. I heard about this because I came downstairs on Thursday morning. And one of the first things I do is I check the lost and found. Because I will often hear people run up to me, I lost my cell phone, I lost my keys, I lost my nuclear detonator, I lost my cat, can you help me find it? So I look in the lost and found, and there is a Ziploc plastic bag with how do I describe this? Well, at the time I described them as, occasionally somebody, either a lady or a gentleman who is in transition, will have artificial implants, you see. And for some reason, a pair of these jiggly jobblies were sitting in my lost and found. And I'm looking and I was like, the fuck? And I said to the door sign on duty, I said, excuse me, what's in my lost and found? He looked up at some newspaper, he said, oh, that's a pair of jiggly jobblies. I said, yes, I can see that. What are they doing in my lost and found? And he folded his newspaper and said, let me tell you a story, Uncle Cotty. Because the previous night, not even night, it was early in the evening, Deputy Kisner was alerted to possible trouble on the second floor of the hotel. He went upstairs. There was an individual, and here, please accept my apology. I do not want to offend anybody. I don't want to seem insensitive. I'm an older person, and it's difficult for us sometimes to know the right things to say. It was apparently a gentleman in transition who hadn't gotten very far. My understanding is he was about 6.5 feet tall and 300 pounds with a full beard, but was transitioning. Okay, that's fine, that's great. Because my understanding is that would be what would be preferred. I'll use the female pronouns.
Yes.
So she was apparently possibly under the influence of something. We don't know. Drugs, alcohol, double. But was becoming extremely agitated, and increasingly so for no obvious reason. Deputy Kisner was kind of hanging in the background just observing it. And when this person started to pace back and forth and sort of flail fists around, he thought, maybe it's time I stepped in. So he went up. He didn't get too close. He said, excuse me, miss. He said, you seem to be very upset about something. I'd like to help. What can I do? And this person turned around and used an exclamation that involved Deputy Kisner's African-American heritage.
Ah! Fuck off.
Okay, at this point, we've kind of crossed over into disorderly conduct. So, after telling Deputy Kisner, you can fuck right off, Deputy Kisner said, well, you can turn around and put your hands behind your back. That's when the person jumped in, tackled him to the floor, started throwing punches. And they got into it, and everybody started running. You see a cop fighting with somebody, you don't do anything until invited. But that's a lesson. You know, wait till they say something. So essentially, poor Bill is there wrestling crazily with this lady, and hotel security and my security are standing around like, what do we do, what do we do, what do we do? And it wasn't until this lady started grabbing at Bill's gun that Bill said, I need a hand. And that's when they dogpiled. I wasn't there, but I was given the impression of one of these cartoon fights where there's just a big cloud of dust with fists and feet flying out of it. And since I was not there, I do not know which version of the next incident is true. There are 4 different visions of what happened next. Because I don't know which one is true, I'm going to tell you my favorite. While this was going on, and a voice was heard to exclaim, "So that's what pepper spray smells like." One of my security guys ran up, and the lady's artificial breast implants became dislodged with the force of the fight and flew through the air and were caught. Subdued with the assistance of multiple people. It took some doing. Handcuffed. I did not find out till later that Deputy Kisner actually suffered a rather severe injury during this. He didn't tell me. I had to find out on my own. I'm sure he would have just said it would have upset you. But as he was writing up his report, the security person came up. What am I supposed to do with these Ghibli jobbies? And Deputy Kisner said, well, looks like somebody lost them. Put them in lost and found. Let's handle it. So the next morning, there they were. Wrapped in this nice plastic and inside a Ziploc plastic bag because they were still saturated with pepper spray, by the way. A month later, they were still there alongside a purse that contained some personal items that had not been claimed. And I suspected that maybe these things were related. I called Bill up and I said, hey Bill, it's Sam. You know, remember those Ghibli jobbies? He said, yeah. I said, what exactly am I supposed to do with that? He said, they look good on you. I said, yeah, but they're covered in pepper spray. I mean, should I send them to the department? I mean, these must be evidence or something. I got this purse, too. He says, all right, put it all together and ship it, put it in a box and send it to me at the department. Allegheny County Sheriff's Department. So I did. I could probably, it would take too much time to pull up on my phone because I'm old, and old people take a long time to pull shit up on their phones. But I put it in a box, double wrapped in extra plastic along with the purse, and I included a very official note on Anthracon letterhead in which I wrote, Dear Deputy Kisner, pursuant to our telephone conversation of last Thursday, I am sending to you the following items. 1 lady's pocketbook with the following contents. Additionally, the following contents have been removed and discarded to comply with U.S. Postal Service regulations. You know, aerosol cans, things like that. Please also note that the package includes the items referred to in my previous communication as the Ghibli jobbies. sure he still has that letter tacked to the bulletin board. I could go on, but according to my 1986 vintage digital watch, it is 8 o'clock, which is an hour. I don't want to go over time because what's the next thing in this room?
Not anymore.
Yeah. Actually, I could probably keep going. Oh, charity hour. That's me and some broken down old Chinese git we're gonna get up here. But since he's not here, Tian Long is going to help. Hello, Tian.
Hi, I'm Budgie Skunk again. Thank you for watching my FE 2019 coverage, and I hope you enjoy some of my other videos got on my YouTube channel. Thank you again for watching. Cheers. Would it be okay if you do a sound bite for me?
Oh, what sort of sound bite would you like?
Like, greetings, welcome to Fernal Equinox.
I can do that.
$5 for charity.
No. Where's the hi, sound bite. Where's the camera?
Right here.